Hey Falcon fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Atlanta Falcons Today. I want to jump into the 5 biggest training camp stories as the Falcons right now are up at Flowery Branch practicing on, day 2 of training camp? What are the 5 big storylines to keep an eye on and how could they progress? That's coming up here on today's video. First though, you guys should be subscribed to this channel because now that training camp is here, non-stop updates in terms of winners, losers from certain days at camp, who looks good, who looks bad, if they sign somebody, if they trade somebody, if they cut somebody. We are your one-stop shop for all of the training camp news and notes, so make sure you guys go down below and hit that red subscribe button. You're not going to be disappointed. We have plenty of great content. Let's go ahead and jump into number 1 on my list. We're going to do 5 of these today in terms of biggest training camp stories, no particular order. But this one I think is very important. Are any of the rookies ready? Right, every single season we get super excited about the draft and, oh, they drafted this guy, they drafted that guy, but then you get to the actual start of the season and you always realize, wow, rookies really have a long way to go. Whether you're a quarterback, a tight end, a wide receiver, a DB, I mean, it doesn't matter where you play, there's always a learning curve that you have to go ahead and figure out. And my question is, are we going to get any serious production from some of these rookies, right? Is Drake London going to be a 50-catch, 500-yard receiver, or is he going to be, an 80-catch, 1,000-yard receiver? What about Arnold Ebiketie? Is he going to be any sort of decent pass rusher and provide you 3 sacks, provide you 10 sacks? You can go down the list here. Troy Anderson, is he going to start? Desmond Ridder, will he even play in year 1? What about D'Angelo Malone, right? You can go through a list of all these rookies that you went ahead and drafted, not to mention Tyler Algier, and ask the question, are they going to be productive this year? There's no doubt Drake London's a great wide receiver. There's zero doubt in my mind he's going to be very, very good throughout his career, but is he going to be productive this season? Can he actually contribute this season, or will it be kind of a throwaway season like it is for a lot of young rookie wide receivers where you're basically just trying to learn how to beat NFL DBs and not beat DBs from, the worst college in your entire, conference, right? You're beating DBs from Oregon State in Drake London's instance, obviously playing up there in the Pac-12. I don't know if they played last year, but you get my point, right? Then the same goes for a guy like Arnold Ebiketie. I mean, yes, sure, a lot of great Big Ten schools have good right and left tackles to go up against in terms of rushing the passer, but there always is a learning curve. Again, is he going to be a 6-sack guy, a 10-sack guy, a 2-sack guy? Who knows? Now, the progress and the actual NFL building of these men is what's important, right? This season is not a Super Bowl season. It doesn't matter if they absolutely ball out or not. What matters is their long-term future and eventually becoming Pro Bowlers. But if you want to have some success this year, these guys are going to have to go ahead and help produce. And my question is, will they be able to do so? Add break pin comment down below as we get started here. What is the biggest storyline heading into training camp? What do you guys think? Biggest storyline heading into training camp? Let me know down below in the comment section right now. Okay, I want to move over to a similar topic, or I should say a similar number 2 on our list here in terms of biggest training camp stories. And a similar story is, who are the stars on this team? Right? Who is going to go ahead and emerge as a star of the Atlanta Falcons, a.k.a. a really good player in the National Football League, right? Someone has to step up and produce, and that's kind of piggybacks off of what we just talked about with the rookies. We know the names that we expect to be stars. Kyle Pitts. We expect, obviously, to go ahead and have A.J. Terrell to be a star, potentially Grady Jarrett to be a star, but who else, right? Besides those 3, are any of the other Falcon players going to actually be stars on this football team? Throw Patterson into that mix as well. Could, Casey Hayward be a young star? Could Troy Anderson be a young star? Could Lorenzo Carter, be a breakout star? Who is going to break out and really step up and produce on this football team? Because just like with the rookies, in terms of asking if they are ready or not, who is ready to go ahead and prove to Arthur Smith and these Falcons that, hey, listen, we have some decent players on this team. And I think this team is decent. I don't think this is a 2-win football team. I saw a prediction on Twitter from a local Atlanta TV reporters, Falcons were a 2-win football team. And it's like, okay, they're not a great roster. They're not a 2-win football team. They're a 6 or a 7-win football team as currently constructed. But they could be an 8-win football team if somebody steps up. If they have better players than we expect, or we have players that we expect to be average, step up and be a little bit better. I'm very curious to see who is going to go ahead and step up on this football team. It's a big-time training camp story that I'm watching here as the days and weeks go by. Who is the most important player on the Falcons? I think a lot of you guys are going to say Terrell or Mariota because he's a quarterback, but I'm curious, who is the most important player on the Falcons? Let me know down below in the comment section right now. Okay, next storyline is an obvious storyline. It's a quarterback storyline. How ready is Desmond Ridder? And this is, seriously, how ready is he? We're going to find out over the next couple of weeks as you get the training camp updates. Is he ready? Is he not? That is going to be a big-time question. We'll dive more into that here in just 1 second. First, though, the Falcons Polo Pack is still available right now at chatsports.com/Falcons Combo. The deals on some of these Falcon Polos and Falcon T-shirts we've had the past couple of weeks have been insane. Pick up this 2-pack polo right now for the price on your screen. That is a great way to go ahead and basically get 1 or 2 polos for the price of 1. If you're going to training camp, you want to rep the Falcons, look good doing it as well. You got golf on the weekends, pick up this Falcon pack, 2-pack polo right now. That link will be down below me in the description box. Now, again, we talk about Ridder. It's really, the question is he ready now or is it going to be next year? Because I think eventually he is going to be the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. I hope he is. I think that's what he's drafted to be. I think he has all the intangibles. I think mentally he's very much there in terms of understanding what it takes to be a quarterback in the National Football League. But is he going to be ready to play week 1? Probably not. What about week 8? Right, what about week 12 if the Falcons are eliminated, towards the latter half of the season? Is he going to be ready to play then? Because you don't want to rush him out there. And so I think training camp is going to give us at least a little bit of a preview, especially preseason, but at least a little bit of a preview as to, okay, is he ready to go right now, or is he going to have to go ahead and take some time to figure out how to play quarterback? Because I'm not rushing him, just like the rest of these rookies. There's no rush to be, on the field right away. The rush is to figure out how to play. That way next year's Falcons football team, and people think could be a playoff team next year based on all the free agent money they would have, and hopefully the progression they would have, can really be as good as we hope. Okay, next big story to learn during training camp. Does Atlanta have a pass rush? Does the pass rush exist? Because we talked about Arnold Ebiketie at the top of the show, and, no idea what you're going to get out of him. What about the other guys? Right? Look at this defensive line. Again, as we've said, for months and months and months, it's not anything special, but they did add some pieces. Think about Lorenzo Carter. Think about D'Angelo Malone, the rookie. Some other young guys that they have in there. What do you have here? Is this going to be a bottom third of the league pass rush? Top half of the league pass rush? A top 10 pass rush? Probably not, but who knows? What do you have? Does Atlanta have a pass rush? If you start reading a lot of the Falcon blog writers and beat writers who are there at training camp and they're saying, hey, another sack or a simulated sack at training camp, you're going to start to get a little excited. If you see some pass rush during preseason, you're going to get a little bit excited. And I think that Falcon fans have been desperately yearning for any sort of decent defensive line the past couple of years. I don't know if it's going to be top half of the league, but I hope that it is at least a little bit better. And again, as I said earlier, I hope Arnold Ebiketie is a reason for that. I'm a big fan of his. Again, no idea what we're going to get out of him as a second-round draft pick in Atlanta this year. But if he gives you 8 sacks, that could be massive and really, really push Atlanta to be a lot better than where they have been the past couple of seasons from a pass rush perspective. Okay, so we've done, in terms of training camp stories, are the rookies ready? Who are the stars of this football team? How ready is Ridder? Does Atlanta have a pass rush? Final one here is what happens to Deion Jones. This is a big-time camp story because Jones seemingly is going to be healthy sooner rather than later based on reports that we have heard in terms of, coming off of the inactive list or the injury list, whatever you call it, during training camp. But once he is ready to go, is he immediately traded? Are they going to actually get him on the practice field? Are we going to see him in a Falcon helmet in pads next week, the week after, actually being a Falcon at training camp? Or is it just going to be a situation where he's healthy? All right, get him out of here. He's traded to some, insert X football team's name, and then you elevate Troy Anderson. And speaking of Anderson, he had a nice play on Kyle Pitts with good coverage a little bit earlier today during a training camp rep that I was reading about via Twitter. But you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen with Deion Jones. It's a storyline that you definitely need to go ahead and follow and keep an eye on because as this training camp progresses, you need to figure out who are your starting linebackers, and if you need to reinsert Deion Jones, that could shift things up a little bit versus where it's at today, at least a practice where Deion Jones is obviously not out there. So, a lot of big storylines, and I think that's the emphasis here, is that there will be plenty more storylines, plenty more things to go ahead and keep an eye on, but those are the big 5. I think those are the 5 that most Falcon fans care about, most Falcon fans want to find out, because this football team is very much a growing football team. It's a football team in a state of flux, and not flux in terms of coaching staff. I think they figured out their coaching staff, but they need to figure out how to get the roster that is currently here to be ready enough to actually compete this season. And compete is a relative word, 7-8 wins, but be ready to go next season where you have these core guys who were draft picks 3 years ago with Kyle Pitts at that point, 2 years ago with Drake London at that point, and hopefully on their way to being a successful franchise and back into their winning ways. Because yes, the NFC South is pretty, I'm not going to say stacked. The Panthers are going to be the bottom of the division. I don't think the Saints are as great as people think they are, but the Bucs are going to win a bunch of games. The Falcons very much are going to be, looking up at a football team like the Bucs. But if you can get ready to go next season, it's going to be a completely different story, and this time next year will be a very fun training camp overall. Okay, we'll end on this. How excited are you for the first preseason game? Hall of Fame game was a week away from today, and then a couple days after that, will be your first Falcon preseason game. How excited are you for the first preseason game? Scale of 1 to 100. I know that a lot of the starters are hardly going to play in the first preseason game, but you get to see Desmond Ridder. It's a perk of drafting a quarterback. The preseason games was a lot more interesting, especially if you live in Atlanta, where you can watch the game locally. How excited are you for the first preseason game? Scale of 1 to 100. Let me know down below in the comments section. Okay, all-time favorite of the day on our Atlanta Falcons news and rumor video. Plenty more content, especially content keeping you guys up to date on any sort of breaking news or roster changes. That's your one-stop shop. Subscribe down below here for that, and we'll have plenty more updates, of course, later on this weekend and hopefully on Monday as well. For Atlanta Falcons Today, Thomas Mott signing off to the rest of your day.